One of the teenagers in our community came to meet with me this week and asked me a really interesting question. What does Judaism say? So I said, about what? Is there a particular issue? What does Judaism say about something political? And they said, no, just what? At its core, what does Judaism say? And I said, well, perhaps we could say it says that there's one God. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, which could be translated as God is one, or could be translated as Adonai is our God and only Adonai. So maybe Judaism says at its core that Adonai is our God, and that's it. But then what does that mean? Having a relationship, having acknowledgement of God, means that we have a responsibility. So then maybe we get into other mitzvot, like to love God. V'ahavta et Adonai lehecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha v'chol ma'adecha. You shall love the eternal your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your might, all your strength. But what does that mean? And I realized I was answering a question with more questions, which in some sense is a very rabbinic and very Jewish thing to do. But when a teenager sits before you, that's not really what they're looking for. What they're looking for, as we explored more, I asked, what do you need? What is it that you're looking for when you're asking this question? And actually, I found the answer to be really revealing, which is I need it to stand for something. I need Judaism to actually have a message, a purpose, a meaning. And it made me realize, after quite a lot of conversation, a wonderful conversation actually, that Judaism does stand for something. It stands for something really important. What does Judaism say? It says things will get better if we make them better. There's a radical religious optimism to Judaism, which I think is at the core of its message. It doesn't accept pain and suffering. It says these things exist and we have a duty to change them. Judaism, as far as I understand it, is a duty-bound religion. It is a way of life that makes the world better for other people. And so I said to this teenager, if you want Judaism to stand for something, you have to help make it stand for something. In fact, every one of us does. We have to turn around. What does Judaism say? It says what the members say. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if the members stay at home and say Judaism is about bagels and lox, then that's what Judaism says. And we can turn around and we can say, but Torah says this, and Mishnah says this, and Talmud says that Judaism says this. That's all great, but actually, what does it say? It says what we do. It says who we are. So if we turn around and we do nothing with our Judaism, then our Judaism doesn't say very much at all. If our Judaism is about study, then Judaism says it's important to study. If our Judaism says, however, if we go out and make the world a better place, then that's what our Judaism says. And I believe that that is actually at the core of Judaism. I believe that we're in Perkei Avot, al shlosha devarim ha'olam omed, al haTorah, va'al ha'avodah, va'al gemilut chasadim. As I said in my sermon last week, the world stands upon three things: on Torah, on worship, and on good deeds. And all of these three things sit together, or stand together. Stand's probably a better word. Stand together in a trio. We study in order to teach and to practice and to do. We worship in order to reflect on who we are when we study and when we act. And we act because that's what we do, because Judaism is about making the world a better place, bringing about the Messianic age. There is a radical hope, a radical religious optimism, as I like to say, in Judaism that says this isn't good enough. When we look at the world around us, we don't despair. Jews don't give up. Jews turn around and say, I guess I'm called to fix this. And that's really important. And so I turned to this young person and I said, what is it that you want to fix? What is it that you want to see our community fix? What do you want Judaism to say? What do you want it to speak about? Because as I said in my Erev Rosh Hashanah sermon, I can provide sources for pretty much every side of an argument. Now, I can provide a majority of sources in one way as opposed to another, of course. But one of the strengths and challenges of Judaism is that it is so ancient and so diverse that there are many different perspectives on every single issue. And that's why when people turn around, as I said in my Erev Rosh Hashanah sermon, when people turn around and say, no, I believe this because Judaism says this, I say that's true. And it also says the opposite. But the question is, what's at its core? Because if you end up with Judaism says everything about everything, then ultimately it stands for nothing. It has to have a value, it has to have meaning, it has to stand for something, it has to say something. And ultimately, it stands for human value, human liberty, the right to exist peacefully, unharmed by others. Sounds like the Declaration of Independence. We have a duty to help others live freely. And that's a really important, really difficult duty. It's huge. It's an enormous task. And that's the point of the Messianic age, that we believe in it even though we're not convinced that we'll see it. Lo alecha hamlecha ligmor, v'lo ata ben chorin lihibatel mimena. It's not your duty to finish the task. You may not see the Messianic age arrive. You may not see the perfection of the world. But neither are you free to desist from it. That's what Judaism says. It says, look at the world around us and fix it. Fix it, bring people together in a way that speaks of our religion so that our Judaism actually says something. Because it's easy to open a book and say Judaism says, but if it doesn't go from the book to actual practical action, it's not really saying much at all. Then Temple just essentially becomes a book club with a book that never changes. So we need to take our Judaism, our learning and our worship, and apply them as much as possible in the world around us. And so what's really exciting is following this conversation with this teenager, they realized here's the thing that is really important to me. Here's the thing I want to see change in the world. And now they're speaking to other young people in the community, and they're going to present me with a thing, with a way of an issue, basically. Something to say, can you help us speak out against this? Can you help us speak up for this, for protecting lives in this particular area? It's exciting for me, because this conversation helped me actually really narrow down what's at the core of Judaism. It's not just what's in the building, although that is essential, because we gather people together. Connection is essential, especially in a world like today's where people are so isolated. Worship is essential. It helps us reflect on who we are and become better people. But Judaism cannot just be about ourselves, our own, and what happens in our building. It has to be about making the world a better place. And so that conversation really inspired me. And I hope as I share it, it inspires you. I hope that you turn around, that you hear this and think, what do I want to change in this world? What do I want our temple to speak up for? What do I want our temple to act? In what area? Is it homelessness? Is it immigration? Is it gun violence prevention? Is it reproductive rights? What is it? What's the issue that you turn around and say, I need our temple to say something on this? And if you do that, if you send it to me, if you bring it to me, if you come and meet with me and say, Rabbi Neil, here's what I need. I need Judaism. I need our community to have a voice on this. I will work with you to find the sources. I will work with you to gather people together, and then together, as a community, we will say something. We will do something, and our Judaism will stand for something. So please, think about that question. What do you want your Judaism to say? What do you want your temple to say? And let me know. I hope you'll join me for our Kabbalat Shabbat service later and for our Shabbat Shacharit service tomorrow. That's our conservative minyan. We have over 30 people who come to this minyan. It's a wonderful gathering of more traditional liturgy than we're used to. If you have a Lev Shalem Siddur, please do bring it. We only have a few spare copies. And please come and enjoy a very different prayer experience. We're also doing something slightly different in tonight's service, and I hope you'll be able to join us for that as well. I hope to hear from you soon in terms of your response to the question, what do you want your temple to say? What do you want your Judaism to say? I genuinely want to hear your thoughts. And I hope to see you soon and wish you Shabbat Shalom.